Today's program is brought to you by OTCStockShark.com. For the latest and greatest OTC and Pink Sheets information, sign up for your account at OTCStockShark.com. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano. Now for today's U.S. news. When Yida Schwartz died last month at 93, she left behind 15 children, more than 200 grandchildren, and so many great and great-great-grandchildren that by her family's count, she could claim perhaps 2,000 living descendants. Mrs. Schwartz was a member of the Satmar Hasidic sect, whose couples have 9 children on average and whose ranks of descendants can multiply. But even amongst the Satmars, the size of Mrs. Schwartz's family is astonishing. A round-faced woman with a high-voltage smile, she may have generated one of the largest clans of any survivor of the Holocaust. Mrs. Schwartz had a zest for life and a devotion to Hasidic rituals, faithfully attending the circumcisions, first haircuts, bar mitzvahs, engagements, and weddings of her descendants. With 2,000 people in the family, such events occupied much of the year. Whatever the occasion, she would pack a small suitcase and thumb a ride from her apartment in Curious Joel to Williamsburg or elsewhere. There were so many occasions that, to avoid scheduling conflicts, one of her sons was assigned to keep a family calendar, but her family insists that Mrs. Schwartz had no trouble remembering everyone's name and face. Like many Hasidims, Mrs. Schwartz considered bearing children as her tribute to God. A son-in-law, Rabbi Meir, said she took literally the scriptural command that you should not forget what you saw and heard at Mount Sinai and tell it to your grandchildren. And she wanted to do that, he said, without needing to add her belief that the more grandchildren, the more the commandment is fulfilled. Now to Brandon with some international news.
Thanks again, Angie. In today's international news, Toyota has been caught heartily congratulating itself for saving millions of dollars by avoiding investigations into accelerator defects. An internal presentation, the company's safety division boasted that it had struck a winning deal with American road safety regulators that saved the company $100 million and avoided a costly and embarrassing vehicle recall. The revelations, which appear in a 10-page internal Toyota document, deepen suspicions that the world's biggest car maker may have deliberately played down the extent of safety problems with its cars. The Japanese company, whose president flew to the United States yesterday for a congressional cross-examination on Wednesday, has been at pains to describe itself as primarily concerned with consumer safety ahead of its own profits. The 2007 deal, described in management presentations documents, is linked to the same sticky accelerator problems that have been blamed for 34 deaths on American roads. The presentation was made at Toyota's Washington office last July, just a month before the U.S. regulators had begun to link Toyota accelerator issues to more than a dozen deaths. In September, a California Highway Patrol officer and his family were killed in an accident that was allegedly caused by a jammed accelerator pedal. Analysts are only beginning to calculate the potential cost of Toyota's safety issues. Some believe that the crisis may cost the company more than $6 billion in lost sales, idled production facilities, and class action litigation. The revelation from the presentation document are expected to prove highly damaging to Toyota as it seeks to defend itself against allegations of a cover-up. In addition to the $100 million saved through the deal over unintended acceleration problems, the presentation also crowed over $124 million and 50,000 man-hours saved because of new safety regulations that allowed the company to phase in side airbags. The company also said that it had saved $11 million by delaying a rule that would have demanded stronger door locks. But the most damaging part of the presentation is likely to be the financial savings made over the pedal-related recall in 2007 that turned out to be far cheaper than was expected. And now to Angie with a little bit of travel news.
Thank you, Brandon. In travel news today, vacations are a chance to take a break from work, see the world, and enjoy time with family. But do they make you happier? Researchers from the Netherlands set out to measure the effect that vacations have on overall happiness and how long it lasts. They studied happiness levels among 1,500 Dutch adults, 974 of whom took a vacation during the 32-week study period. The study, published in the journal Applied Research in Quality of Life, showed that the largest boost in happiness came from the simple act of planning a vacation. In the study, the effect of vacation anticipation boosted happiness for 8 weeks. After vacation, happiness quickly dropped back to baseline levels for most people. How much stress or relaxation a traveler experienced on the trip appeared to influence post-vacation happiness. There was no post-trip happiness benefit for travelers who said the vacation was neutral or stressful. Surprisingly, even those travelers who described the trip as relaxing showed no additional jump in happiness after the trip. They were no happier than people who had not been on holiday. The only vacationers who experienced an increase in happiness after the trip were those who reported feeling very relaxed on their vacation. Among those people, the vacation happiness effect lasted for just 2 weeks after the trip before returning to baseline levels. Vacations do make people happy, but our results found people who are anticipating holiday trips show signs of increased happiness, and afterward there's hardly an effect. One reason vacations don't boost happiness after the trip may have to do with the stress of returning to work, and for some travelers, the holiday itself was stressful.
These are the most powerful songs of all time. Time Life presents Classical Power on 5 CDs for just $29.99. But wait, order in the next 10 minutes with your credit card and we'll cut the price to just $14.99. That's right, you get 5 CDs for just $14.99. Then preview other beautiful classical CDs, satisfaction guaranteed. This collection is not sold in stores, so call now and get Time Life's Classical Power on 5 CDs for just $14.99.
Call 1-800-731-0511 to order Classical Power for $14.99 plus shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card or order online at timelife.com/power.
Now to Brandon with Tech News.
Thanks again, Angie. In today's tech news, 2 prominent schools in China dispute allegations that hacking attacks on Google and other firms originated from them. The New York Times reported that security investigators traced the hacking to computers at Shanghai Jiantong University at Lanzhang Vocational School in China. The official Xinhua news agency cited an unnamed university spokesperson as saying the allegation against it is baseless. An official at the vocational school said that its investigation found no evidence that the attacks originated there. A Communist Party official in the school is the Eastern Shandong province and said that students there are currently on their winter break. He also disputed the Times report that some evidence linked attacks to one computer science class taught by a Ukrainian. "We have never employed any foreign staff," he said. Another official at the vocational school disputed the Times report that Lanzhang had close ties to the military. Google revealed January 12th that digital thieves had stolen some of the computer code and tried to break into the accounts of human rights activists that were opposed to China's policies. The sophisticated theft also targeted the computers of more than 30 other companies. The digital assault was serious enough to preempt Google to confront China's government about censorship rules that weed out politically and culturally sensitive topics from search results in the country. Google says that it is prepared to shut down its China-based search engine, and the company and the government are still discussing a possible compromise. China has denied involvement in the internet attacks and said in January that its anti-hacking policy is very transparent and consistent. Now to Angie with a little bit of fashion news.
Thank you, Brandon. In the world of fashion today, the giant board fluttering with messages in remembrance of the late Alexander McQueen defines everything about London fashion. The words, just like the looks on the runway, are heartfelt and imaginative. Groups of silent spectators stood in front of the bulletin board in the fashion tent at Somerset House, reading a formal letter of regret from Sarah Brown, wife of the British Prime Minister, saying, "You were a rascal at college. I loved clubbing with you." A student wrote, "It's crazy how you inspired me when I had been studying your work just before you left us." While among drawings of Mr. McQueen's signature skulls and fetish shoes was the request, "Make heaven look good for us." The suicide of an international designer who remained rooted to the dark and raw east side of his home city underlies London Fashion Week. Kate Winslet, who wore a black McQueen dress to an advance party for the BAFTAs, the British version of the Academy Awards, said, "I have always loved his work. When I married the father of my child, we both wore McQueen."
Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.